This is my version of the World Cup trophy. Wood and stone carved by hand. It took 4 days to make. This is the story. I printed out the reference image of the trophy, cut it out, and started looking where it would sit in the wood. The wood is lemon. I've had it for years. When I was in college, our parking lot had a line of lemon trees. They decided to redo the parking lot, pave the whole thing over. The trees had to go. I saved a few pieces before they went into the chipper. I didn't know what I would use them for. I just knew I wasn't going to let them disappear. That was years ago. This felt like the right material for the trophy. Cutting this way because I want to save as much as the lemon that I can for another project. And I'm doing my workout. Lemon is dense. You have to think before you cut. Once it's cut, it's gone. The first cuts are just about getting a workable block. I traced the shape and cut down with the handsaw, then traced again and cut down on the opposite sides. Handsaw on a lemon wood is slow, but it helps that the wood is very dry now. You find the rhythm and you get your workout for the day. The World Cup is happening right now, and I wanted a trophy to lift at the end of the final. So I made one myself, from rescued wood and stone. I've been carving since high school, and when an idea like this comes in, you just start. Then the angle grinder. I traced the silhouette on all 4 sides of the block. That gives you the 3D shape. Then you start removing everything that isn't a trophy. The angle grinder does the heavy work. Lemon wood doesn't give easily. You have to earn it. There's a rhythm to this part. Trace, shape, check, and trace again. You're consistently measuring against the reference. The silhouette has to match. The proportions have to feel right, even at a tenth of the original size. Once the basic shape was there, I switched to the Dremel for the detailed work. The 2 figures, their spiraling curves, the glow between them, and all the little details. None of that is possible with the grinder. You need the small bits. You need patience. The base needed a stone. That was always the plan. I ordered malachite, the stone used for the real trophy base. When it arrived, the piece was too small. Getting a piece big enough would have cost a lot. So I picked from what I had. 2 candidates. one I found at Pine Flat Lake. Dark green, beautiful, but almost too dark. The other one I picked up on a road trip through Death Valley. The desert stone, lighter and warmer. When I held it up next to the wood, it made sense immediately. Death Valley won. Before I went further with the wood, I made a small mock-up in modeling clay. The reason is simple. You can't put wood back once it's gone. The modeling clay lets you figure out what you're actually trying to carve. The volume of the figures, where the undercuts need to go, how the globe sits between the arms, before you make your reversible decision in the wood. Sometimes I skip this step. With a sculpture this small and detailed, I couldn't. The stone needed its own shaping. I used the grinder to cut it into 2 pieces and shaped the basic circles with stone cutting discs. Next, polishing. Diamond polishing pads, 50 grit up to 8000. Then a wool polishing pad for the final finish. The smaller piece broke. I glued it back together with epoxy and let it cure for a day. Changing pads, checking the surface, polishing, and changing again. When you get to 8000 and you see the mirror finish come up in a piece of raw desert stone, it's all worth it. Then more shaping, a lot more shaping. At this scale, with bits this small, it takes time. I penciled in the shapes consistently. Pencil, carve, check, pencil again. The figures have to stand out from the background. That means undercutting it. You carve away the material behind them so they read as three-dimensional, less flat. The bottom section needed its own work. The lettering, the brick design, the geometry of how it would all stack. I cut the letters in with the Dremel, then cut the base piece itself so the stone could sit in between like a layer in a sandwich. Outlined with the Dremel first, then I finished it with the handsaw. The first time I stacked all the pieces, stone, wood, stone sculpture, and I stepped back, that's the moment you can see it will all come together. For the globe on top, I cut out the continents from a small printed reference and traced them directly on the wood. Then started texturing the oceans around them, slow and tedious. But that's where it becomes something. Assembly is where it either works or it doesn't. I glued the stone and wood base together first. Then the upper stone layer to the sculpture and let them set. Then glued those two halves to each other. When you set it down and it stands on its own for the first time, 4 days work of standing in front of you. You just look at it for a while. The finish is beeswax and oil mix I make myself. I use it on all of the pieces I make. Natural, no chemicals, lets the wood breathe. Lemon wood takes the wax beautifully. The warm yellow deepens. The grain comes forward. Not quite gold, but very close for a wood pretending to be gold. The reason I made this one, the World Cup final is coming, and I thought it would be cool to make mini trophy to lift at the end of it, with friends. Here it is, rescued lemon wood from a college parking lot that got paved over years ago, married to a desert stone picked up on a road trip through Death Valley. One of a kind, with a bit of character. It's about the tenth the size of the real thing. Now I have my own trophy to lift, every 4 years. This one goes on the shelf. We keep a small collection of objects that have meaning to us. This is the first in a series I'm building, Famous Objects, made from rescued materials, kept in a personal collection. Never sold, more coming. If you enjoyed this, subscribing is the best way to follow along. I've linked all the tools and materials I used below. See you in the next one.